Not a lot of faith right here for the Mkers. Only 20%. And I'm pretty sure that's Demo and all his Smurfs as well. Maybe just voting extra on them there. Demo's really certain Mkers will win SI.
I mean, he's got a lot of faith in the Italian team. And Demo, I'm never gonna say another caster is biased. But he's very fond of EU's chances.
He's getting really close to biased for Mkers.
In other people's books, they might say it's biased. It says they're observed by Easy. Easy is the A observer, but Medics, he's done.
Medics is the overhead.
That's how much he loves observing Siege. Is he's done on the other stream. He has the option. He could have just gone to bed. Or, you know, he could have chilled, relaxed.
He could have,
eaten some cookies. I think that was the pudding that we've got waiting for us after this. But instead, he's like, no, the Croatian sensation. And as Easy put it, what did he say?
The Benelux disappointment.
Wasn't it the Dutch disappointment?
Oh, it could be as well, but there's two of those, so. Anyway,
hey, we're not losing it. You're losing it, and Zafir and Thatcher, they've been lost. Club, as we find ourselves back here again, obviously. It was played earlier today by TSM versus MIBR. You could say it was a pretty good map. You could even go so far as say, for the first time seeing it after they burned it pretty much every single game for NAL, it was a fantastic map. TSM even were able to tweet about it when they said, hey guys, maybe you should have watched our video that we made about how to breach an entry onto Club.
Maybe Mkers watched that video. And maybe they watched the VOD as well.
Maybe.
And maybe that will give them the little edge that is necessary for them to get them into this map. Flying as Cade is the last one to be removed together, of course, with the Valkyrie. And now for the final matchup of tonight, we are heading into Clubhouse. Now for the reals. Round number 1 is underway soon. First, of course, the operator picks are coming through. And I will be giving away a little bit of the strategy that both these teams want to play.
That was one of the things about Mkers coming into this tournament is throughout their time in the national scene and throughout their time in the open qualifiers, they didn't ban operators.
Yeah, they didn't need to. It's strange. That's how certain they were of themselves. So if we manage to get through without banning operators, they're going to be going in so confidently, and now they get to choose the crutch operators that they want to get rid of or that they feel threatened by, and that might give them a little bit of an edge. But Mkers on that defense first will be choosing to go to the bottom floor. Church Arsenal will be the site that we are at as we speak, and a couple of shields being placed. That is a reverse shield, and I'm wondering if that is due to the fact they might leave triple wall open. I don't think so. But it could also just be to get the better angle into the actual Arsenal.
Well, either way, they're setting themselves up here with the possibility of a bit of an extension upstairs. Obviously, it's not the full, fat, big NA roam that we see come out as, you know, they're not bringing the castle, they're not making sure that they still have bar stock as an open area to play on. But there are big gunners on Mkers' side. They're very exciting, very electric, and they have their ways and ability of just getting in against the opponents. And that's one of the reasons that Demo kind of rates their chances so highly is they're both that really terrifying mix of fearless and unpredictable that leads to huge results. Twin that with a little bit of good old-fashioned gun skill, and you have a very hard-to-control force. But TSM, they've already proved today that they got more than just the biscuits to make sure that this is all sorted and wrapped up nicely for them. Bolo is joining himself in via strip to see if he can get a bit of a handle on Scasso, who's playing just on the connector on the top of the main stairs. He can feel the pressure coming from a couple of different angles, so as long as he can burn a little bit more utility of their opponents, and then he's going to drop down the main stairs and get himself a little bit closer to home.
Take out a couple of those drones, and look at that, only 3 on the field, 3 in pocket, I believe, as well. And that's an interesting setup there. The triple wall left open on either side, only the middle one reinforced, and indeed that shield will be to try and contest it. Now, that might be because they're expecting a motorcycle drop, that the push will be coming from that side. If you play behind that shield, you might be able to give a little bit of pressure from that and from blue.
Well, still keeping an eye with the Echo drone and keeping ahead of Charla. Akwi is able to get the opening body here. The minute 30 mark. There's still one more not too far away. The pings are coming through for them, though. He's ready for another fight with this SMG. He wants to put a little bit of fear into the clear here of TSM, and this is all time being spent and wasted. The grenade comes around the corner as Gemini's offering as much support as possible with those drones. There's one more on the rafters side. The window is where he finally suffers his end, but all of that time, all of those bodies and all that utility, you look at Maverick gone and you look at a bit of a blow in terms of what they have left in their pockets.
Lived way longer than he was allowed to be right there, and there's only 60 seconds left right now. No Maverick to open up the hatches. Geometric will have to do everything. Needs to bring in these exothermic charges, and I believe he might be jumping out, going for a bit of a dirt take, it could be, as explosions are still happening, trying to open up these verticals. A long angle here from Gemini, able to put some damage down onto Bolo, but not enough to quite get the kill down yet. They just need to be careful to not overstep right now, Makers. They have the man advantage.
Well, 30 seconds on, and they've decided to start going deep on dirt, but Sasha says, no, 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 this way is closed too. Cuts him out of half with that English shotgun as they start to try and steady themselves in on the kitchen drop. One body goes for the rotate down the main stairs to actually be doubled up by the second. A very last-minute look towards the moto hatch, potentially going for something a bit deep and dangerous. No, change the mind, tries to dig their way up this main corridor. The grenade goes through the opener, but there's no clear route through, and it's definitely not that way. Doesn't get to, but gets dropped on the opposite side. But as the seconds tick over, can't get the exit. TSM, they're taken a little bit for a ride there by the Makers' defense, led by Gemini's drones.
Gemini, indeed, able to grab a lot of information. They're able to put Akri into a position where he was able to pick up one, not just one, actually 2 kills down on that top floor before he was punished. He wasn't allowed to live that long, yet he did, and yet he had the pressure. And with that, TSM, their roam clear failed. They lost a lot of utility and a lot of time. Need to make sure that they are not repeating that mistake.
Wow, the perfect start for the team that, as we said, has that ability of taking people by surprise. If you do not know them, they are one of the open qual teams. They're the one representing EU. They took out 5 Tier 1 teams to get here, and they themselves aren't even in Tier 2, currently fighting for the possibility of getting themselves into Challenger League next season. So, the only Tier 3 representatives here, there's kind of a lot of buzz about it.
I mean, who else than an EU Tier 3 team? We've always taken pride in our Tier 3 scene and how strong it is. And Makers, they won their first Challenger League Open Cup, which of course gave them a bunch of points to try and qualify. If they get a bunch more, a couple more rather, they are already secured for Challenger League, even if they would lose in their national league. Because that is, maybe many people don't know, because there's a lot of regions all combined right now. But in Europe, if you win your national league, that is how you get into Challenger League. And besides that, there's also a couple of open qualifiers. And while Makers won the first one of those, but they're also at the top of the national. So it does look like they soon are going to be that Tier 2 team.
Keeping themselves a little bit astray from CC. We talked about this earlier as a place in EU especially where it's become a bit of a third choice for a lot of teams. It's a little bit too unreliable in terms of trying to hold it on and keep it locked down by a lot of teams, especially with how mobile the utility economy is for attackers right now. So you'll actually see a bit of a preference towards Church and Gym, as I said, especially in the EU region. So let's see if they can try and thread it into a second round win here as TSM. They're a little bit more awake now after that, and Lolo is the first to suffer as they do a steady clear up the top of rafters and across CC itself.
Taking care of the drone right there, hoping to find some stuff. But look at Gemini, he's in the meantime in the oil pit, just waiting below. Knows one is right above him. One is actually on the rafters as well. We'll be spotting that out. There's no way you're going to be able to climb up, but he's going to be holding off on the stairs, hoping that a second person is going to be trying to move up. Of course, not really happening yet, but a lot of pressure will be coming down from him as soon as he decides to put that pressure down, as now TSM wants to clear out the players and cash.
Huge amount of utility burnt round to try and allow that frag grenade through. Bolo holding the angle towards the top of red. Doesn't quite catch the body though. That swing round as they're still pinging utility. It's achieved. That is finally able to open the first. Sprays towards the second Charla, but doesn't quite catch them. They pull back, as does Gemini. Deep in oil, we see him trying to find a new point of ingress via blue. Round the back stairs, but the sounds actually pull him further away. Potentially a call saying, no, I think we need you a little bit closer. We find ourselves in a 5 versus 3 with a minute left. We're going to really be in a bit of a tight spot.
Yeah, of course, it would be a risk for him to try and go up and make a flank happen. You're either going to succeed insanely, or you're going to be failing miserably, as Geometrics now cannot detonate that exothermic charge. Needs some cover, but there's a C4 coming out. Not going to be able to deal any damage, though, and does achieve now. We'll be taking care of that Mewger, meaning the breach will happen.
Well, a little bit of a moment there where I think they were both a bit lucky and a bit surprised to see each other. However, they're able to keep their lives, and with only 30 seconds left just about, we're looking at the start of the collapse here in terms of the approach onto the site. There is Gemini still playing loose underneath. He still has a C4 in pocket as the drones were overhead. He's going to look for a gunfight first, but with Scatto being dropped, it's potentially going to happen now. The timing goes through, so does the C4, gets the man out the window. Merc steps up to take location, and, well, Geo's able to pop up and pop himself back down, plant the diffuser on the opposite side. There's the last one sprayed, and TSM, well, they held that round perfectly.
They bring back around indeed, and maybe he waited a little bit too long for that C4. If he would have tossed it out earlier, it could have been a triple kill in that case, but of course he doesn't know either, and he is also looking at it like they can jump in at any moment now, and I need to be ready for it. And then literally, it's siege timing. The moment he pulls out that C4, they start jumping in, and there's nothing you can do in that case. But 1-1 is the current score, and Mkers are going to be going to CCTV cash right now. The site that is, well, dwindling in winning percentage compared to last season. And are they going to be able to make it stick? Because, you know, I know I've made a big meme about it during the EUL season. Like, at this point,
you're not going to do this on the SI stage as well, are you?
I'm not going to say. I'm just going to call myself out where at some point it was 25% win rate. So, you know, I kept him coming back. Like, you know, at this rate, it's going to be better to go bar stock. But, of course, not really through. We are going back towards the equal win percentage rate now. It's getting closer back to 50. So, Mkers, they do have a good chance to try and get this defense in. And they need to get it in because you want to get those 4 rounds, especially against a team like TSM. You know what just happened on Coastline when they were playing against SSG.
That's it. And obviously TSM, they're looking to try and set themselves up as the top of their group here. If they can replicate what Empire were able to do in Group A yesterday and get themselves the 3 wins, it really puts them in a good stead for the rest of the week. Obviously, if you are somehow unaware at this moment in time, 1 team from each group will not be going through towards the playoff stage. The top 4 will get seeded into the upper bracket, and the lower will not. They'll be in the lower bracket fighting on death's door for the entire time. So every single game is important just to make sure that you find yourself in that upper seat. And TSM, they're going to make sure it's a gosh dang throne.
Try and make sure of it indeed as Akri tries to quickly challenge the window that was just opened up, but not be finding anything of it. Merc already working on opening up the CCTV wall. Does it pretty quickly. There's nothing that basically stops it. No shotgun holes to try and, well, make it a little bit of a messier process. And thus, within 40 seconds, the plateau wall has been opened up and will allow TSM to use that for the remainder of this round. That means that a lot of the pressure will now be coming down towards the bedroom side, towards the construction side, and that is exactly where 2 of these Mkers players are playing.
You can see TSM has so much more fervor in how they want to instantly get into the aggression here and try and meet Mkers at their own game, spraying through towards the hot pings and pushing them further and further back via construction and logistics. Scatto suffers as he pops through, but is able to still stay standing. And you can see Akwi is the one that looks to try to acquiesce. The body doesn't quite get it, drops out and pulls back down the main stairs with a big escape. That's going to give TSM a little bit of food for thought. Scatto is able to pull himself back. They both slip by Merc, who was trying to hold onto the construction window, but doesn't quite catch either. A little bit of a breath of fresh air from the distraction that came through on the main stairs, sure, but a minute 20, and you can see now TSM's putting a lot of focus on the drone work, clearing all the corners of Logi before they feel capable and able to start pressuring the site.
I have to say, I really like the aggressive setups Mkers is bringing. A lot of angles are being created. Of course, having a mirror as well will aid in that process, as Gemini was speaking of, and takes down the kill onto Merc all the way on the other side. I believe that is the bedroom. But look at how heavy it is. Like, one grenade could easily kill 3 people right here. But there's, of course, plenty of discs around and ADSs, so they don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah, they've really tried to turn the top of red into a bit of a fortress, but as you said, the game is, well, can they put something around the back of the ballasts and the barricades and blow them all out of that hot corner there? We know TSM can be very good with their utility when they need to. They're very balanced, but here it seems like the focus is going onto the close corners. With Akwi still in the top of rafters, it's going to be a bit of a tough entrance, but the smoke canister pops off, and Merc obviously pops out too now. With only 30 seconds left, they really have to try and dig in. They try and swing around the corner, can't quite get it. There's still a lot of cover here from the guns of Mkers. TSM are trying to force themselves through construction with the opening that they have, but the aggression that they're being met with, Mkers, well, they meet it with their own, dig themselves deep into sight, pop up through the window. They say no thank you, and they get put back down. 2 versus 4, 5 seconds on the clock, but none of it will be spent trying to get the diffuser down as Mkers 2-1.
Had the double injury right there in that 3v3 situation, able to bring it back basically into an effective 1v3 in that case. Of course, they didn't know, but the pressure was off at that moment in time. They just needed to find the last one walking in, and that's exactly what they did. Losing just 1 member, but that doesn't really matter because these kills, they don't translate into anything else but stat padding in that case. TSM now 1 round behind. It's Mkers that is leading the charge. They retook the lead themselves. They're now going back to Church Arsenal, the site that they were able to defend quite well earlier on, however, with a bit of an asterisk. It was based on Akwi that was playing on the top floor, had the support from the 2 Yokai drones, allowed him to pick up a double kill before he was being punished himself, taking out the Maverick and basically wasting 2 minutes. So, like, you know, there was nothing TSM could do in that point anymore because you are in that basement, you are in that bunker, and there's a lot of work you need to do if you want to attack it properly.
Well, Gemini is going for a bit of a plan B here. No Echo, but Maestro is the man that's going to be stepping up to the plate and seeing if he can be the one that keeps the handle on the aggression of TSM the same way that Echo was able to before. It gave them that little bit of secret intel that led into the roam game, offered them the support before they could pull back and get themselves down to the site and say, well, now try and pressure us. But here's our plan B, and I'm curious to see what other adaptations they make. Church Wall is still entirely soft for now, where they go for the extension, the central reinforcement. Yeah, no, they are going to potentially entirely lock it off. We've seen the start of it, and we have seen this big extension to the top up here too. More time wasting is going to come out of the guns of TSM if it goes to the Mkers' plan.
Definitely so, and Akri will be playing on the top floor again, putting down a lot of these mute jammers just to make droning even harder and allowing himself to really go for this play, because that is what enabled them to win this round the last time. And with this, you deny any form of information that TSM might get on you. Already 2 drones have been taken out by Mkers, means 8 are left, and well, as they are struggling to open up the wall right here, they need to take care of the mute jammers first, but surely that is done quickly. You have that Maverick available to you, and that means that the CCTV wall is going to be opened.
Okay, TSM, let's do the dance we're able to do before it starts in strip, and then it becomes a little bit more violent as you steady your way across and see if you can try and get a handle on the bodies that are moving away. But hark, look at this. They've entirely gone back down 2 minutes on the clock. TSM technically have the full run of the top 2 floors. The big make or break right now is, do they know it? There was obviously mute jammers played around and bodies were there before, so they might spend a bit of sweet time making sure they have clarity, which, as we've seen before, for Mkers is time that they often love to pull themselves back into new exciting situations to see what devastation they can cause.
All right, there is going to be about 40 seconds left until TSM is at the same point as they were the last time around, and let's see if they're going to be able to do a little bit more work by then. A big change is that they still have 2 of their extra players. You see Merc right now opening up the motorcycle hatch, and it's exactly what they tried to play into the last time on the side of Mkers. However, they did not allow him to do so at the time. Has to be careful though. A C4 could be coming through. It's Mkers you're playing against. You don't know what they're trying to do. Scato at least getting a lot of information out here, able to split out at least 3 of these players. Geo now opening up on the hatch as well. Is there a C4 Vakui is my question.
Well, that's it. You're kind of looking at Scato, and you're looking at the situation of Pulse. You're letting people know what's going on, because this is when you really want those C4s, that potential of catching someone a little bit by surprise. Sure, you have the possibility of if they go above you down the corridor and then they're hitting main stairs, okay, you have have the one over the top of Church Wall too, but you still have 2 in your pocket. You know that this is how they're wanting to do their approach, and you have to offer a little bit of approach because TSM are a team that love to try and get the diffuser down, and most importantly, are very, very good at it. If you can try and scarper and put a bit of a stick between the spokes of this machine that's rolling in, well, Gio's going to be the first step, digs himself in to the default plant spot, but there it is, there it blows, and there he goes off the board, and now it's a matter of seeing if they can recollect it, but the only thing they're cooking up in kitchen is a little bit of hot trouble right now as Achieved is able to find his way through and get it dropped down. They have the angle onto the dirt. They have another body down. They have a diffuser cold yet again. It's a 5 versus 2. 5 seconds left. That's going to get slowly further and further away as they can't even get the last lock down, and Mkers find yet one more down in the church.
They have basically all the information was being fed by Scatter. Guys, there's 4 people above the hedge. I can guarantee you they're going to be dropping from that point. You just wait, you toss in that C4, get the first kill. Then you start tossing in these smoke canisters, just stall them down. And the rest that we have to watch is just one person in blue. If you have one guy in blue just holding it off, there's no way a flank can happen. That's exactly what they did. The information that was being fed there by the Pearls, absolutely brilliant, and it's allowing Mkers to take the lead here right now. Well, not take the lead, extend on their lead right now, as they already had it, of course. Finding on that 1-4. We're going back to Gym Bedroom, the one site that they actually lost so far, and let's see if they are going to be bringing something different to this time turn it around.
Yeah, got to give full credit there. As I said, I was like, why aren't they using a C4? And they went, this is why we're not using our C4. It was played so well, so smooth by Mkers. Full credit for the patience and resilience. And you gotta say, it's one of those things that you highlight when you are not only the underdog team, but the only team, and I cannot stress this enough, that isn't in T1 or T2, that has gone through the new open system to get here. Literally the poster child of this is where you can be. They are that sports movie. And they're here playing cool and calm against one of the most celebrity and celebrated teams in the world that is also a tournament favorite. You gotta give credit to the mindset of the players, the coaches, the analysts. And I'm assuming there's a lot of vocal fans right now.
There is definitely going to be a lot of vocal fans, and I'm pretty sure that if we ask them to make themselves known, that they will be doing that with ease. As, again, TSM opening up on the CCTV wall. The mute jammer will have to be taken care of. It is basically default what happens at this point. Just a little bit of time is being stalled right here, but at least you're making them work for that wall instead of giving away for free.
Well, all eyes are across. TSM knows that this is the site that they're able to pull some success from before, and it started with a very good close down here across CC. They had the body come up rafters, as we see right now, as Charla tries to get a bit of a cross angle here, and then it was a burn of utility down across the top of red with a couple of explosives thrown in for good measure. Mkers lost the body and then tried to pull back with a bit of a rotation underneath, and we can see Gemini is still down there. This time, though, he opts for that aggression, but as Mark finds that first body, it's actually going to be Akwi that decides to step in and get dropped. Bolo watching round on the rotation there, predicted a play on red, and this is what we talked about before, why Gemini didn't go deep previously. It now puts them in a 5 versus 3 with a huge amount of time and not a lot gained.
Not a lot gained indeed. Only 90 seconds on the clock right here, and TSM have full control of CCTV cache. Of course, they haven't moved through it yet. They might want to take some control of construction later on, but it's a bit difficult as Lolo actually playing right here behind the mattress, dealing or taking a lot of damage rather. Now coming in will not be finishing the deal. He's allowed to rotate all the way back in, but 70 seconds left. Gemini going really aggressive right here out of nowhere. We'll be able to pick up 1 kill to start it off.
Yeah, gets himself there, and we saw Scatto holding the cover, Sasha even holding the cover there down from the corridor itself. They popped that mute jammer. They went for C4s out the window before, so you know that they'll potentially be expecting it, as there's still 2 on the board here. A minute, though. TSM have so much time to try and formulate attack. I believe there might even be a blue body that's steadily droning their way further and further across. They haven't gone underneath the main stairs. Instead, they're going for a very lateral push, and Gemini, well, he's going to push back, find a second for the round. The Vector is working and almost works one more time, but Merc is able to keep himself steady on the window. A very important moment as he hops in, gets dropped out. Lolo playing the mirror backwards, and it doesn't quite work out how he dreamed. Charla is able to find his way into the gym with 20 seconds. They're going to try and stick it. There is a C4 underneath. There is a misthrow of a gadget, but it still pulls him off. Doesn't get the confirmed kill. Puts them in a 2 versus 1. Dodges the flash, but it's being watched on the opposite side. He finds it. He just has to find the last man. Pre-fires towards the default, but he'd gone to try and send him to bed in the best possible place, the bed.
He was indeed behind the mattress. There was no information there. Charla able to win it there, but such a nice try coming in right there. Keep in mind, Mkers lost 2 of their players in literally the first minute or so without being able to deal any damage towards the likes of TSM and Sasha and Gemini almost being able to pull it back. Imagine if that shot from Gemini would have actually hit when he was being pressured from that window. Imagine if he would have actually tossed out this C4 when he was being pressured right there. Could have had a double kill even. But TSM, they bring it back. They're at least 2 to 3 right now, and they have the opportunity to go for an even half.
First plant down, after all the possibilities of being able to get in for a team that, as we said, loves to try and drive themselves in that game. They've attempted 100%. They've tried to dig that man in and get that diffuser down, but that was the first successful one, and it came down to only 7 seconds left and a 1 versus 1. However, that's a little bit of that good old-fashioned confidence. That's a little bit of that, okay, we've got some stability. Okay, we've only won it on gym and bedroom, but we might be able to pull an even half here before we head onto our defense on club.
That's it, right? They have the opportunity to go for the 3-3 here, and that is going to be helping them. We already saw what they were able to do when they went over to the defense themselves in coastline. The space station wasn't really able to get their attacks to work. So Mkers are going to have to outdo space station in that sense. They need to make sure they get some rounds. Now, for them, it is still going to be helpful if they do manage to pick up this one round here on CCTV cache. I have to say, though, I really like the setups that we're seeing from them. It is just different. They open up aggressively towards construction because they want to challenge it. And last time around, they had a mirror to do it, but they don't this time. So they're literally going to be changing it up yet again. They use some shields, they use whatever they might find, and they're going heavy on the roam. It is so unpredictable what they're showing right now.
I'm super excited to see much smarter people than me break down the holds that Mkers are putting together here.
Oh, Sasha!
Oh, who needs to do a hold, though, when you just beat a man that's trying to burn his way in? Bolo taken out in a manner that he's the one usually dispatching 2 others very early, and it's a big, big take there. You can see they're reconvening. You lose the buck, you lose some of that control that you can dig in from underneath, and, well, you lose that we've got the upper hand in this round. Pressure has to start coming from the opposite side as Achieved digs his way in.
He's holding.
No, he doesn't dig his way in. He waits for more pings, more calls, and hopes that some of this aggression that Mkers are doing on their defense. There he goes. Plays over to their attack.
Now, Bolo was supposed to be the cover there for the Maverick, making sure that there was no challenge coming down. But at that moment in time, you just have, you know, Crazy Man on SMG, Sasha just peeking you, taking you out right there, and putting Mkers in the man advantage that they need to climb themselves up to the 4 defensive rounds themselves as well, and set themselves up for success in that second half. And it's up to TSM right now to bring it back. They're a very experienced team. They've played against very many different kinds of teams. So if there is a team that is going to be able to bring it back, it will be Team Solo Mid. So let's see how they will adapt in these last 65 seconds of the round. It looks like a construction take is underway, but that might be the most dangerous thing to do at this point.
That's it. You're going against construction. This is how they tried to break their way through last time. They feel like they've got a bit more success. We can hear the garage door being knocked open too, so I think they might be trying to want to clear across rafters potentially. Here it comes, though, the pressure onto this corner on red that we talked about before. Lolo is trying to offer some cover on the opposite side, but it's Merc, actually, that is the first to suffer the engagement. Charla, in the meantime, is trying to pinch the pressure onto that Jaeger that is on rafters. It's an important take, but we can see a body going out from stock. There was one on Garrett's side as well. They tried to double down. And I said, well, it was being knocked, but apparently it was the defenders that were going aggro, and Achieved is going to throw a grenade in and amongst the smoke, see if he can catch somebody out. Geo has somehow found a little bit of solid ground, trying to plant, gets dropped, there's one more. Suddenly a 5 versus 2, Akwi's in the middle of sight, so's Charla, no more. It's all down to Charla, actually. He is the only one left, and there he goes. I thought he was dropped, but everybody but left him in the middle of a little bit of an Italian storm.
They decided to just go in, and Mkers was like, we can do the exact same. We'll just retake it with everything we have. We take the control, we take the round, and we take the half right now. They are leading against Team Solo mid, and if anybody would have been expecting this to happen, well, Demo is going to be the first one to raise his hand because he was absolutely sure of it that Mkers is going to be winning here today. Of course, we're not that far yet. There's always 2 halves to a game of Siege. And that second half is going to be coming up right now because we did see what TSM was able to do against Space Station Gaming. They were not able to get any attack on the board. And that might be because they're still getting used to one another back down in that first game. Or it could have been because their defense were just so good. It's going to be up to Mkers now to show what their attacks are made of and what they can do.
That is entirely it. We have seen some phenomenal defense work from TSM. We've seen just undefeated defense work from TSM against the reigning champions of the tournament. Yeah, that's a pretty good shiny belt to be wearing throughout the rest of your playdays in the group stages. But from Mkers, what we've seen on this game so far, where they're able to pull apart these fights is by holding these very long, very aggressive angles and by responding and reacting with a little bit of fervor. They're a little bit feral in how they're moving and manipulating the play space. When you're translating that to your attack, that is something that is way more likely to be punished. You are smiling and pointing at the screen.
Yeah.
And I think I know what you're about to say.
I think this looks like a setup we once saw a special team pull out. I don't want to say Space Station Gaming Rome.
It's got a lot of adaptations since.
It got adapted a lot, but it's the same basis.
Yeah.
You know, like the castle barricades out there. As soon as those castle barricades go down on either side, the hatch gets opened up. Everybody's going to shout, Space Station.
Yeah.
Space Station right there.
It's that Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen.
Yeah. But
it helps describe it. It's like, you know, even when maps change, we still describe stuff by the old name because we know where it is, even if it looks entirely different. And this is, you know, it's that bit of a turn of face. We're looking at a long extension here, and we're looking at, obviously, a lot of blue bodies scattered all over the map and seeing if they can try and close them down. It's a huge amount of time, a huge amount of utility to be dedicated towards this. And as I said, with Mkers, with the kind of motions and viciousness in their defense, translating that to attack, where the defenders are playing this with an information control setup, with obviously the Vigil, the Mute, and the Mozzie on the board, and with huge gunners that are coordinating to be a problem all over the play space, it turns into a really big problem.
Well, we're going to see how big of a problem it will be because we're about 90 seconds in that round and Mkers are yet to be trying to take control of that first floor. But first they are seemingly busy with trying to take out the 2 roamers that could be playing around in CCTV and Cash. And while some pressure is being put down, surely they will be falling back now. Gio is holding off the potential rotation, making sure it's going to be safe to do it. But there's a man down there on the actual main door. The challenge is going to be coming up there. One passes, the second one will as well. And you see those 2 members of Mkers instantly trying to go for that chase, but they're going to be way too late. Everybody is already back on the side.
Yeah, well played there by TSM. Akwi, he had a choice. Can I win this gunfight? And when you've got multiple blue bodies there, it's at best for a lot of people a trade situation. He'd already suffered a bit, but realized it's better to have all 5 of us pushing on the defense. Have them turn tail and run because we are going to find our own way to have some fun now as they start to pressure themselves onto the hatches. Spread out all across, Moto and Stock both open now as we see them paying a little bit of attention here, achieved with the C4 underneath, and well, it's the one that they're waiting to see if they can catch because Mercs was thrown early and unfortunately didn't catch anybody by surprise. Angles are in their favor right now too, as is the timer. Scatto takes the hot drop down into Moto. Bolo is playing just around the corner of the machines. Charla's got the angle from deep, but achieved with a cheeky bullet hole as Charla is the first to suffer. Swung around the corner of the vending machine. It's Akwi that's able to get the first bit of bloody, but Scatto in the meantime is just going to try and stick it in the hot corner and hope for the best. There's a bit of cover. There's a double for the man that was waiting, and there is finally a 3rd round for TSM.
They decided to go for the quick plans right there as we got Ketter's Bolo on stream right now. Seen it?
Yeah,
there we go.
There's one chair that is...
There's one chair that has cat ears. And Bolo is on it right now. But yeah, no, they decided to go for the plant there. I mean, it was a good call. There was not much time left. They had a member down in blue. They had some cover up. Unfortunately, the blue pressure fell. And that makes it really hard to cover from the bar push that Bolo managed to put up. He went for the pre-fire, get the first headshot. It's just a quick transfer down to the actual planter in that point. So very well played there by TSM. They managed to bring it back at least by a round. And they're getting closer back to the equalizer here. They have the opportunity to do it in CCTV cache, as that is the next side they choose to go to. And now let's see what the difference exactly is in kind of setup, because we saw a very aggressive one from Mkers, which was very successful, we have to say, because they were able to pick up the kills every single time. But it looks like TSM is going to be going for a bit more of a hold back one. You see the reinforcements are coming out. They're not really willing to deal with the pressure that could be coming in from construction or the angles that could be created from there. And thus they decide to close it.
Importantly, TSM, they have a little bit of momentum now. They have a little bit more wind under their belts. Okay, they've been able to pull a couple of rounds. It's only 4-3, but they are, as we said, such a solid defensive team. And they're a team that's been able to pull off these synonymous, just heavy holds of, we've locked one, and now we've suddenly taken 5 in a row. GG, see you later, I'm off to bed. This is a team that when they start to get that roll on, when they start to, get that energy up, especially this late on in the day after a long play day, it can really turn into a bit of a problem for a team that is a little bit lagging and a little bit flagging when you've got to be the aggressors. You've got to be the ones applying the pace to a game and a round over and over and over achieved. Well, he's playing the hatch game. He's taking a risk, but Buck, he's not playing.
Nah, he's not going from that side. There's no way you can make that angle stick, and Mkers not really playing with them right here. They need to shut down TSM, however. They need to make sure that they're not really getting out, and they have it. Akri opening kill down onto Bolo. That is going to be starting things off. It's going to be making it a bit easier for them to slice through these defenses up in these final 60 seconds.
Akwi is a hell of a player, and that's something that he's making sure everybody is aware of. One of the quotes that I loved that was being thrown around about their chances was, well, Akwi is just better. Akwi is just good.
It's just good. Like, that's
you
just
the see it. You see how he plays. He's been able to consistently get himself onto that entry board against some, pretty much every single member of TSM he's finding a fight with and finding himself successful on. It's just getting the build up from behind it. Geometrics is the one that is next under pressure, crawls his way slightly further away from the grenade danger, but you can see heads popping everywhere, and his is the next one popped off. Lolo gets very important control here on Rafters. This is the other take that we didn't really see from TSM at all. They doubled down in construction, but this is old school standard. This is default behind the CC block, and this
is my favorite.
This is your favorite.
This is the favorite indeed, because, as soon as you start trying to bait out this utility, they have it. One smoke and a sit down. There's still 2 left and a C4 that need to be dealt with. Both those are on the side, so you need to try and push them into using those as early on right now. Scato just needs to move in, make the noise that he's going to be planting, move back out, do that a couple of times up until there's no utility left. You see him do it very carefully right there. Oh, he gets down somehow still.
Through the Habana hole.
Has to be careful. This actual smoke will not get him. Gemini will get an important kill onto Merc, however, bringing it up to a 2-on-5 situation with 40 seconds left. You see now they're preoccupied with there as well. Akri from below. This is going to be a Mkers round. Gemini closes it out. A flawless one at that. Beautifully attacked. They took the garage control, tried to bait out the utility. Of course, they got it down because of it. But after that, pressure came from everywhere. Beautifully played.
Well, Mkers, they've been able to take a little bit of that energy back into their pockets. And we said it earlier on. CCTV, the reason that we see it less and less nowadays is because attackers, especially as we said, in EU, the region that we cast, Maury can quote it so well, is it's dangerous. People know it too well. It becomes your tertiary site. It becomes where you go third. As we can see on the stream now, TSM taking a vital moment, I think, catch their breath, catch their heads, and try and catch less hands, I think, from Mkers right now.
All right. Quick tactical timeout. It is 3-5, and we are going to gym bedroom after these 45 seconds pass. TSM is supposed to take the win here today. Everybody thought it, including 80% of the people in the social polls. However, Mkers are currently the ones leading. They're 1 round away of bringing it up to the match point. And if they're going to be able to make that happen, then the pressure is really going to be on for Team Solo Mid. So they need to fight back now. They need to make sure that they are going to be making no more mistakes, because if they do, they're giving it away to Mkers. A team that isn't even in Tier 2 or Tier 1 yet. We're going to keep on repeating it throughout the entirety of SI. These guys are playing PG Nets. The Italian nationals, they won the Challenger League Open Cup. They just came short for 2020 Challenger League, just barely missed out on that. And now they're here at SI. And they're competing with the best.
Gotta give credit. Gotta give
the credit.
I think that's one of the things as well when we were looking at the teams coming into this, and obviously Liquipedia, the fantastic resource that it is, you look at just how much that these guys have done as a team, how long they've been kind of fighting, and the sort of total prize pool that they've got. If, and I'm not saying it's going to, but if every single game went the worst, I think they times the amount of their total winnings just from coming last.
I think it was 20 times.
It's around 20 times.
Exactly.
That's how meteoric their run has been just to get here. And now we dart back into the game. They're 5-3 up on Clubhouse against TSM, a team that did a video about how you're supposed to play this map.
Finna could use an update after this if they do end up losing it to Mkers, that is, because we keep on saying in this 2 halves of a game of Siege, there is definitely a way that TSM can come back from this, but at the same time, there's only 1 round between them and fighting 3 potential match points right here, and that is not a position you want to be in, especially not if you're the favorites.
All right, let's see if the timeout and a little bit of a team talk from Pojo Man can be the difference between getting them a little bit more success. We're talking of the success of Mkers, but TSM hasn't been that far behind. I think that's the main thing here is obviously they've still had moments and nobody underestimated anybody coming into this tournament. Never think that. This is all the best of the best and we know how every team was able to get here, but there's having how you show up on the day and in the moments. TSM, obviously, they've already played 2-1-2. Mkers, 1-1, lost 1. They're all at the end on their 3rd game of the day. It's kind of flagging. It's kind of dragging you on here and seeing who has that last bit left over. Sasha has to pull back as the first canister is popped very early, stops him being able to burn through that wall, and he's actually going to run really far away.
Yeah, he's just gonna run for it, making his presence known and then leaving. Quickly want to highlight though, some might say Scato not really having the impact yet that he would like to have. Sure, he doesn't have the kills he would probably like to have, but he's been very crucial playing on that pulse, for example, able to feed the information this previous round as Gemini almost losing his life right there whilst taking care of that shield of Bolo. At least it's going to be putting some pressure down onto TSM right now, but they have to be careful to not lose their lives right now.
Bolo dropped and droned, but gets one back. Gemini taken out before he can even get the swing in. There's a bit of cover, and Lolo is the one that gets it. Doesn't quite get Malusi, but there's one more on construction window who doesn't actually catch them either. Akwi. Rare slipped by past him as he's not able to get a bit of revenge, but for the cost of 1-for-1 with Sasha underneath, they're able to get themselves control here as they steadily start to look towards construction itself. They're kind of wanting another TSM player to swing around on the little bit of an opening on logistics, but they have plenty of time. However, the danger out here on this lovely balconette is already learned. A lesson that's been proven by them with the force that they're able to apply to those windows, but TSM, well, they were able to apply it right back. They have themselves stacked up and ready for any approach that comes across those windows. It's just who's going to make the first move.
Windows on the direct side are no option as there is frost mats on them. They need to take care of those first before they decide to be dropping in, and you cannot really jump in, shoot them, and then try and go for it right after, because that is going to be losing you your life nonetheless, because someone will be ready to pick you up. And with 45 seconds left, Geo is going to be taking care of logistics. The rest of TSM will be taking care of the site. Are they going to be able to hold on, or is this going to be Mkers just brute forcing their way in and making sure that they pick up their 6th round?
The words of Andre 3000. All right. Come on, you have to start doing something now as we go past that 30-second mark. There's still those frost mats underneath. You desperately want to hop through. It's how much of this catches you by surprise. There's the first, there's the pop round the corner, and there's the drop of the head. It actually goes against Merc as they find themselves smoked out of the door, trying to dig themselves into the site. Geo gets one, and Akwi and Charla find one apiece too, but with a body down still in that mat, they've got a hot hop over the top, but it stops right there. TSM, they find themselves on their 4th round.
They find themselves on the 4th indeed, and this is exactly why I said the windows are no option. You need to take care of them first. Not sure if you can upside down rappel on that window. I assume you can. Would have been a great way to deal with those poke mats. Unfortunately, they did not, and that allows TSM to climb back just a little bit, bringing it back to a little bit of a closer deficit right here, which allows them to fight for the equalizer now. If they do manage to get there, then it will be a sprint to the end, whoever wins this matchup. And that sprint will be very intense. The castle's being brought out. We're going back to Church Arsenal. It is going to be TSM trying to hold on. It's going to be TSM trying to bring it back and make sure that they're not going to be losing another round to Mkers. They do not want to go to overtime. They do not want to lose this game. They want to end on top of their groups.
Okay, down in the basement is where we're going to see if they can lock themselves down. If the people at the beginning would have predicted this were a game that could have gone the entire way, well, you might have been a bit surprised. Apart from Demo, again, it's crazy that he was the one.
He's the only one that predicted
the only one from the talent team.
Yeah.
Got to give him credit there for predicting the make. It's not over yet, but the fight that they've put in, I think only Demo sort of predicted here. TSM, they're setting themselves up for this big roam. Again, obviously, Church previously successful for them. Their waste of time and play on the top floors and then knowing when to pull back and make sure that they have themselves established onto site. It came down to some pretty hefty plays from Bolo, swinging around onto the Church to drop the man, trying to stick the plant, but at the same time, it was down to what they could do in terms of wasting information and time and utility on that top floor.
I would really like to see Mkers just directly hit the site right now. There's 4 or 5 people off the site. You know, there's only one playing in there. Like, it would have been so great to see them just directly hit it and let them deal with it afterwards. But of course, you're not going to be taking that risk. You're going to try and take it out the normal way. You're going to go for the top-down approach. You're going to be making sure that you have all the control you need. You're going to be flushing out these roamers, try and send them past your flank watch, allowing them to pick them up for you. Sasha here trying to get some information on the drone, but the player there already long gone.
That's it. That's all the precious time that's wasted. There's nobody directly around there to sort of back that up with a firefight because you don't have to be there. You're there to make sure that this little section now takes 20 seconds to clear. You can see drones buzzing away inside logistics and in the bedroom itself, and now they feel confident to hot drop down Logi Hatch and steady their way across bedroom, but they've still got 2 more rooms, potentially 3 and a big one to clear left.
Still 2 players around CCTV cache, and they're going to be trying to deal with it again, putting down some pressure, which maybe allows them to try and rotate down. Now, we all know what happened the last time around. Geo was waiting at the bottom of blue whilst they were trying to rotate themselves all the way around as well. But I believe, oh, beautiful Gemini! Able to pick up Merc right there, but you have to be quick right now. 70 seconds left, spots the second! A Chief will drop as well. 4v5 in the scoreline, 3v5 in the player count, and a minute left, and to make that 2, Bolo will go down as well. Can he be recovered though? Geo is close. It's going to be trying to challenge that.
Bolo took the fire there, but it's the jiggle around the strip door. The diffuser goes cold. Deep in the strip club, a very isolated bit of terrain here, usually only used as a bit of an entrance and a clear, but now, well, it's become a bit of a beating heart and the focal point of a round that swung one way, but now it's all in the hopes of 2 TSM players to see if they can dig in deep and keep this lock and key well locked and closed. The grenade popped, ready as they dig themselves in. The drones buzz and burr their way around the corner, but the first fight happens here. Gemini popping around close left. Does he see him first? Yes, he does. Now a quick pick up, but you've only got 20 seconds, lads, and you've got to find your way down onto the site. Charla has a keen eye towards Moto, but it looks like they're going to hit main first. Swings round the back of pipes, tries to drop the first. They know exactly where he is. They know that they're going to dig somewhere else, and Mkers know that they have one more round to take a win from TSM.
So beautifully played right there. They managed to pick up 3 of these kills so early on. Yes, they lose the diffuser, but the beautiful thing was, and I think that is absolutely something that deserves the respect of every viewer out there. They're not very experienced as a team in terms of Tier 1, Tier 2 play, but they stayed so calm when they lost the diffuser. They sent one all the way around. They were holding the rotation. The drones were coming in. They just played it like they still had 3 minutes left. They made it work. They rushed it to the site right afterwards because they knew, all right, the diffuser is down. We're going to need that. But if we win the gunfight on the one man that's holding it, we are good. We are in a 1v4 situation in that case. We can just rush the site and overrun him no matter what. And that's exactly what they did. They took it calm on the crucial point, then they rushed where there was less risk.
Quick question. Statsman,
Shoot it. All right.
How long had Makers been a complete roster before they went to the SI Open Quals?
I know there's been some changes. I will have to. I'll quickly look that up.
I think I have an answer in my head.
What is the answer you have in your head?
See, I can't. You know, I don't want to be wrong about this now as you're looking it up. I thought you would remember this fact. I believe it was 3 weeks.
Don't remember everything. Oh, 3 weeks.
I believe it was 3 weeks.
That would be very, very insane from them to indeed go this far.
I could be wrong, but double check me on that.
We're double checking as we speak. We're just quickly scrolling through. We need to go to the other group, and of course it doesn't show that. Don't worry, we'll get there in the end.
Right, well, you do that, and I'll have a look at the setup here, because we've obviously doubled down on Church. We found ourselves in a new situation. We found ourselves set up.
Lolo as the latest addition was added in the 11th month of 2020 on the 26th day.
When was the Open Quals?
You know, that's the next thing I'm going to be
looking
through. The Open Quals were... It's not even in the Wikipedia page.
What?
That's a very strange one indeed. 6th Invitational was on December, so they were a month together.
A month together as a complete roster before they played the Open Quals. I'm going to say that was 3 weeks. I'm going to say I was right in my prep.
It's somewhat.
It's somewhat. But, well, that's just another little bit of a sprinkle on the delicious cupcake that is Makers being 6-4. Okay, as I was saying before, we're on Church and Arsenal. We find ourselves doubling down, but look at the hold from TSM. All the bodies are down inside the site. A major adaptation from how they were playing this before. They find themselves set up in a position of, we're not winning this control on the top floor. That's fine and understandable. For people that have been in this game a long time, this was the industry standard way of holding this map once upon a time, okay? Maybe you had one dude playing loose and seeing what sort of trouble they could cause on a vigil, but otherwise, it's still such a vast play space down onside the Church and around the Arsenal. You've obviously got Dirt 2. It's a big area. Can TSM go bigger than big?
Imagine the pressure that is now on the players of Makers, playing against some of the players they've been looking up to for a while, and on SI of all stages. 2 match points they have, 2 points, 2 rounds where they can clear this game out, where they can get that point and put themselves ahead of them on the standings. TSM, the pressure is on them. They are the ones that have 2 match points against them. The walls are getting opened up, the floorboards are getting destroyed. Are you going to be able to hold on? Do you have anything up your sleeve to try and make sure that you are still going to be holding on? The feet are being spotted out. They are ready to strike within the next 10 seconds or so. Makers is setting themselves up.
Well, popped pings and rooftops are also good, but it's actually getting in and getting them out, which is the main problem achieved. Ready to swing round from the bottom of Dirt. They have the Banshee to scream as soon as feet heats floor, and they try and make the diffuser do the same thing. We can see they've been able to slip a body now down back to the bottom of main, prepped. But a plan B. Yet again, they're still adapting. 30 seconds. You're not going to have many more of those as you're still pinging utility, trying to bait just one of the TSM players really needily. Come on, swing on us and take a fight. But TSM, they're not playing that game, so they dig deep, go hard, drop the drone first of all on the hot ping and try and stick the diffuser. Aqui and Geo find a body apiece, but it's an absolute flood as Aqui goes all the way deep to the back of the A box. Now, they don't even know where the Makers players are. They're springing up every single which way, but Geo drops one with the pistol and finds himself in a post plant with his best friend down on the floor. Okay, maybe they're not besties, but they are now. For the sake of the story, they're above you. And you're trying to find your best just to lock off a bit of an angle, but the hot pings are consistent, and one more TSM player is off the board. 20 seconds is all they have left, but pistols are pre-firing through. He sticks it not for much longer. Makers!
They do it!
Of the biggest upsets so far. One of the best games I think I've seen so far, and
insane.
You kind of wanted more of it.
You want more. You wanted to go to overtime, but you also don't. You want to see Makers win.